Ladies and gentlemen, Zomithi is Rising is back from Thanksgiving break. Man, oh man, is Shevitz. I got a great show tonight. I'm glad everybody went to my website, www.ZoWilliams.com. But go back. So many new elements are being added. If you want to find out where I'm at, what I'm doing, how I'm getting down, you want to get my book, whatever you want to do, go to ZoWilliams.com. But let me get to my topic. Tonight is a great topic. Ladies, it's especially for you, and I want you to get to your phone lines, 877-2-106-106. That's the number to dial. I need you to participate tonight. The miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. What am I talking about tonight? I'm talking about women becoming more educated and more independent. And is that independence challenging the norms, the gender role norms? What happens when your wife is making more money than you? When she is a global powerhouse at work, does she have to come home and submit to you? Are you less of a man if you're upset that she doesn't come home and submit to you? Or are you more of a man if you play the Mr. Mom role? Somebody talk to me right now. We've got questions. True or false? Is it a sign of a secure and strong man who accepts the role of Mr. Mom while his wife brings home the lion's share of the money? We've got a million questions tonight about this topic. The miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. Is sexism still alive in corporate America? Somebody talk to me. Are women starting to break the glass ceiling? Call me and let me know. Does a woman have to be as masculine as a man if she's going to compete on Wall Street? Somebody call me right now and let me know what's happening in your household. And for women, are their stress levels rising because they never have a day off if they have a dual life? What is the dual life? Work in the corporate America and then work when they come home. Somebody talk to me. 877-2-106-106. That's the number to dial. The miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. I'll be back in 2 seconds. I'll talk to you then.
We've seen more people leaving areas like construction and manufacturing, kind of jobs that require brawn, and moving towards jobs in this information economy that require brains, like education and health care.
Fields that seem to be recession-proof and held in majority by women. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that 3.6 million jobs were cut since the recession started. Hardest hit, manufacturing and construction. Men make up a whopping 70 to 90% of those industries.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the voice of reason, has returned to the Foxxhole. Tonight's topic, once again, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. Please get on the phone lines right now, 877-2-106-106. That's the number to dial. That clip you just heard were people leaving construction jobs for more technical jobs, and that source is from CNN. What I'd like to do is introduce, every week I bring in guests and authors and people who can speak on this at length, and I can add and bring valuable information to my listeners. We have a great guest on the line right now. The brother's name is Dr. Doug Branson. Doug Branson is one of maybe 5 or 6 leading corporate governance experts in the United States. He's the first, or he wrote the first comprehensive treatise on corporate governance in 1993, and is the author of No Seat at the Table, How Governance and Law Keep Women Out of the Boardroom. And his latest book, The Last Male Bastion, Gender and the CEO Suite. We do know there's only 2% of women in that CEO suite. My man is here. He's on fire, and we're going to bring him in right now. Doug, welcome to the Voice of Reason. Man, I'm so pleased to have you here. Say hello to all the millions of people who are waiting eagerly to hear what you got to say.
Well, first, thank you, and hello. Okay?
All right, man, let's get right in it. How many women CEOs of major companies are there? Is the number increasing or decreasing? What's going on?
Decreased decidedly. There were 15 as of January. We're down to 11 now. There have been 23 women in the CEO suite at Fortune 500 companies, but the first was as late as 1997. And that was right there in Los Angeles, Jill Barat at the Mattel toy company.
Wow. Why do you think it's that way? Why do you think the numbers are decreasing? And why is it so hard for women to crack that ceiling and get up in there?
Well, that's a compound question, and I think that the dip is too short to see if it's going to stay that way. We might go back up to 15 and beyond. I mean, the number doesn't go steadily up or steadily down. Why has it stayed that way? Because I think a lot of women are attracted to industries that eat their young, like publishing, fashion, travel. They hire a lot of women, but they don't readily promote them. I think there are a lot of women out there that are getting the wrong advice. They're getting the advice to be assertive and aggressive. That may get you your first promotion, but in this day and age, it's probably going to sidetrack your career.
So are you telling me that women are getting advice to behave like men or behave competitively and aggressively?
I think for a woman, the advice, my advice is it's much more subtle than it is for a man. A man can go a long way on just being aggressive in the workplace, a take-charge person. A woman has to be perceived as diplomatic as she moves through the middle ranks, and then as she gets higher in a corporate organization, she has to be perceived as being aggressive, but on a strategic kind of a basis, aggressive when she has to be, not aggressive across the board. So it's more difficult for a woman, in my opinion, but it's not impossible to progress upward in corporate organizations.
Well, and if she's doing this, how probable is it for her to maintain a relationship? How probable is it for her to go home and there's traditional roles at home if she's married or in a committed relationship? How easy is that to pull off?
Well, those are called the work-life issues. And it is, again, more difficult because the woman spends, on average, about 4 hours with household tasks, whereas the male probably spends about 46 to 48 minutes a day. That's much better than it was in the 1950s, but it's still pretty much way out of whack. So the women who succeeded compartmentalize their lives. They compartmentalize child rearing, housekeeping, and their job. And they give so much time, not any more, not any less, to each one of those things. In marital relationships, a lot of the women who I've noted as succeeding in my book, they sat down at some point in their career with their spouse, and they decided whose career was going to be more important. Indra Nooyi at PepsiCo did that. Christina Gold, who became the CEO at Western Union, did that. Carlton Fiorina, who was the CEO at Hewlett-Packard and has just run for the Senate in California, she did that. On the other hand, some of the women whose husband had parallel careers ended up in divorce. Now, I don't know whether that was the factor, but it certainly was a contributing factor.
So let me ask you this too. When it comes to, like you said, compartmentalizing, home and family, what I've run into, and I just did a relationship roundtable last night in Beverly Hills with a group of affluent women. What I'm starting to see is it's difficult for them to turn the CEO off when they go home, or to turn that corporate tiger, that aggressive person they are, in corporate world. It's hard for them to submit and turn that off. And the submission aspect, of course, is a cultural, social, religious kind of thing. So my question to you is, can women turn it off? And if they can, what is the process by which they do it?
Well, it's interesting because it may be there might be a blessing, a silver lining to that cloud, because as I was featured in the Wall Street Journal October 18th in an article, and I found in my book that women who've become CEOs actually have 47 children. 19 women have 47 children. And some of these women say that because having a family forces me to turn it off, it's enabled me to keep my sense of perspective, which becomes more important as you rise to the top.
Wow.
So they say, I need my family more than my family needs me. I need to go home at night to someone who gives me unconditional love, who also gives me a lot of gruff back talk. You know, when they're teenagers, it's even worse. Ann Mulcahy, for example, the CEO at Xerox, just 2 boys. They both played baseball and track. She made it a point never to miss a track meet, never to miss a baseball game.
Wow.
So it is hard to turn it off, but rising in a corporate organization and having a family, you have to turn it off, and it has really some hidden or not really so hidden benefits.
Wow. So what is the function of education in all of this? From my perspective, I'm starting to think, you know, the smarter we get, the more cumbersome and tight and restrictive our beliefs become. And I think with women getting more education, they're starting to look at independence in a different light. What is your opinion on that?
Well, they say that for CEOs among males, where you went to college or the degrees you have really don't matter, at least after that first job. I mean, Bill Gates didn't even finish college, albeit Harvard College. Michael Capellas, the CEO at Compaq Computer, he went to Kent State. Larry Ellison went to Illinois. But I found in the 22 women in my book, 17 of them have advanced degrees. 15 of them have MBAs. 1 has a law degree. And Ursula Burns, who's our first African-American woman CEO, the CEO at Xerox, she has a master's degree in electrical engineering. So education may not matter so much after that first job if you're a man, but for a woman, it matters.
And why so? Why is it different? Why is there a double standard apparently?
Well, it's a good question, but I mean, I'm really looking at it, giving advice to women. If you really want to succeed, here are some ways to do it.
This is how you go about doing it.
Yes, but why it is that way? Because I guess women still have associated with them, because of the way they speak, the way they act, a lot of attributes that really have no connection. It's called in a different register. Women may use hedges at the end of sentences, like, don't you think, or isn't that a good idea? Whereas men use imperatives, you know, let's send a salesman to Houston, or we will send a salesman to Houston. And those things are interpreted by men as women are more intuitive. They're too emotional. They're not analytical enough. Well, the linguists, and the leader on this is Robin Lakoff at Berkeley, has shown that there's no connection, really. It may be true, but chances are it's not. So women have had to overcome, I don't want to use the word double standard, but these kind of curveballs.
But isn't that what it is?
Just in a way, our societies, most societies, women and men speak in a different register. And ours is less pronounced than some, but it is something that women have had to overcome. It's not a double standard. It's just misinformation that's been out there for you know, decades, that women are somehow different because of the way they speak and the way they might act in certain settings.
So
it's just not true.
This is an interesting discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to participate in this discussion with my special guest, Dr. Doug Branson, he's the author of a book, No Seat at the Table, How Governance and Law Keep Women Out of the Boardroom, and, of course, his latest book, The Last Male Bastion, Gender and the CEO Suite. Of course, you can go to Amazon.com. You can go get these books right now. It's very important that we upgrade our mentality by getting these books. That's why I have the guests on, so they can share this information with you. Going back to the point about the smarter the women get, I have a quote here from Emma Goldman, and she says, the higher the mental development of a woman, the less possible it is for her to meet a congenial male who will see in her not only sex, but also the human being, the friend, the comrade, and strong individuality, who cannot and ought not lose a single trait of her character. She's basically saying the smarter she gets, the less she fits into the patriarchal norm. Now, there are women in here listening to you right now, Dr. Doug, and they don't like the hemming and hawing in your tone. They think you're beating around the bush a little bit. And they're giving me notes right now saying, he not answering the question.
I think that I really can't comment on that. You know, I have a daughter who's both of my daughters have master's degrees. They're both in New York. One's in publishing, but she's opted out to have a couple babies now. And my other daughter is a wannabe actress. Works as a bartender at night and goes getting her master's degree in the daytime.
Wow.
My little one is a very smart, very assertive woman, and a lot of guys are turned off by that. Guys her own age, 30 years old, they want apparently a woman who will laugh at their jokes, but that's just, I don't have any comprehensive knowledge about that. That's just my own experience with my daughter, and she does. Older men in their mid to late 30s find her delightful.
Wow. This is excellent stuff. Let me ask you one other question here. What about your last book, The Last Male Bastion? What is that all about? Talk to me.
Well, I in researching No Seat at the Table, I read all of the advice books, all of the how-to books for women, and they're all anecdotal. Many of them, in my opinion, are wrong. They're all based on I did this, or I did that, or my friend did this, or my friend did that. So I said, let's be a little scientific. Let's look at the 22 women who've actually made it to the CEO suite at major companies, and let's see what attributes they have, and let's see what paths they took. So I set about researching the biographies of these women, and they're all in the book, and then I try and draw some teachings or lessons from these people's careers. One is that you can have children. Most of the women who've succeeded at the CEO's level have quite a few children. A number of them have 3 kids. Education matters. It's very important.
But do you feel like they might be biting off more than they can chew? Because having a family and having children on top of being a top dog in the corporate world is almost like having two equally demanding jobs that, 12 hours a day on one end and 12 hours a day on the other end. Where do they get the hours to keep going?
Well, I think that their spouses help out. I think that they sit down, as I said earlier, with spouses, and they decide to prioritize their respective careers. Their kids help out. And then there's some short shrift given to housekeeping. I have a friend whose kids said to her, "Mom, do all people put on their clothes in front of the dryer in the morning?" I had another woman friend who, very successful executive, and she had her son take the pizza boxes out the morning the trash came because she didn't want her neighbors to know she was feeding her kids Domino's pizza 6 nights a week.
Oh, wow.
So to a certain extent, you compartmentalize and you put some quasi-artificial limitations, and you get the spouse to pitch in, so it's not 12 and 12.
But listen, I deal with a lot of women who complain to high hell that they're not getting the help they need. When hubby comes home, he goes into his cave, and she still has to deal with the kids, the homework, the laundry, all this other stuff that's not being done. So it's easy to say we enlist the help of the kids and the husband, but a lot of time the husband has his downtime when he leaves the job.
Yes,
and her major complaint is her downtime doesn't stop until it's all done.
I know an equal number of male spouses who do much more than that. They don't go home and go into their man cave. They take the kids to the soccer practice and to ballet. They do the vacuuming. They do the laundry, and so on. That was my case. Now I'm in an academic setting, and many of the men with whom I work had the same responsibilities which they undertook in the home. So it's not one size fits all. There are, and it has gotten consistently better. There's a study for the Center of Men and Women's Roles in the Household at the University of Wisconsin, and they keep time logs like Nielsen. You have a book and you write down. And they find that it's improved. I think, say, in the 50s, now this is a weekly number, women spent like 16 hours on housework and men spent under 4. And now this is an average. Men have come up to about 8, and women have come down to about 12 per week.
So it's starting to balance out a little bit, right?
And I think today's modern woman isn't going to take that anymore. She's going to say,
changing.
You get your ass out here and start helping with some of these things.
She's changing. Ladies and gentlemen, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. You're listening to Foxxhole Radio, the voice of reason, ZoWilliams. Now, we're on Sirius 106 XM 149. If you want to get into this conversation, we've got some women on the line right now. 877-2-106-106. I'm about to take a quick break, but when I come back, I'm going to the callers, and we've got more guests. I'll see you in a minute.
Mark rarely saw his 3 kids before school. That changed after he was laid off from his cabinet installation job last year.
After September, there was definitely a decrease in the work, and I've been home since then.
Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams has returned to the Foxxhole. And again, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. I keep trying to tell you, it's a battle of cultural ideas. And when people get more educated, in my opinion, they get less dependent on social templates, social norms. They start feeling a little different, and that's when the gender roles start to bend and flex. Now, let's see if we can grow up as a society. We've got Dr. Doug Branson on the line with us right now. He's the author of No Seat at the Table, How Governance and Law Keep Women Out of the Boardroom, and his latest book, The Last Male Bastion, Gender and the CEO Suite. Doug.
Yes.
How are you, man?
I'm well. How are you?
Man, it's good to have you here. I want my listeners to be able to find out about all of your books and where they can, maybe you have a website, an email address. I want them to follow you. I want them to participate in your movement. Could you tell them where they can find you?
Well, I'm a professor at the University of Pittsburgh. And my email address is just branson@pitt.edu. The books are on Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I really don't maintain my own website. I'm on the university's website, and anybody has any inquiries, they can contact me.
Man, you know what? I so appreciate all your contributions tonight to tonight's show. You have uplifted us, you have educated us, and inspired us. You have a seat here at the Voice of Reason anytime you want it. I'll be reaching back out to you. Thanks for coming in, man.
Okay. Good
all
night.
right. Have a good one.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to keep it moving. We've got another great guest online. And, you know, only on the Voice of Reason do we have professors and the likes, because we're trying to really upgrade everyone's living experience. But before I bring in my next guest, I want to ask this question to all my listeners, and people call me right now. 877-2-106-106, that's the number to dial. How do you define domestic roles when more and more high-achieving women are taking over as the family's primary breadwinner? How do you keep her in the, hey, you my helpmate. When I come home, I need slippers and milk and cookies and Married with Children on the TV set. How do you keep that cracking when, you know, she's a bulldog, when she's powerful in the world? How does she take a subordinate role at home? Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the voice of reason. Tonight's topic again, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. Let me bring in my next guest, who is a special young lady. She's a woman, an accomplished woman. Let me give you a little history about Gail Evans. Gail Evans is the author of Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman. In her latest book, She Wins, You Win. Right? Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman was listed on the New York Times, Business Week, and Wall Street Journal's bestseller list. All three of those lists, she was at the top of it. Let's go. When it comes to the success of women in the workplace, Evans is considered a leading source. She has appeared on the Today Show and Larry King Live. She has worked in the corporate world as executive vice president of the CNN News Group. Evans is currently an adjunct professor at Georgia Tech's School of Management, teaching gender, race, and ethnicity in organizational behavior. Gail Evans lives in the ATL, the A, and is the mother of 3 and the grandmother of 7. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author Gail Evans. Gail, come on in. Let's talk.
I'm delighted. Happy to be here. Got your slippers for you tonight.
You got my slippers?
Right.
And I'm going to need a smoking jacket.
And your smoking jacket, purple velvet.
Absolutely.
No question about it.
You already on fire. Let's talk. Why is it so difficult for men to accept that women are breaking the old patriarchal shackles and they're redefining their lives and they're being empowered and they're changing the way things, the old guard, they're changing it? Why are men so intimidated? I
don't know why men are so intimidated. I know lots of men who aren't intimidated. Most of the men I know, young and older, enjoy having an equal partner.
That's good. Yeah.
So I think that, you know, especially young men who are growing up today, are growing up in a world where he gets her slippers one night and she gets his the next night. Not that you don't get slippers anymore. It's just that you have to occasionally give them as well.
Wow, that's true. So you're talking about what I like to call a bi-directional relationship where, you know, the influence is not coming just from one side. It's coming back and forth. There's reciprocity when it comes to influence and power in the relationship. More like an egalitarian relationship. But I believe that that's rare.
Well, I'm not sure that that's true. It's also that the power is not covert anymore. So the way you talk about it, it's like the women never had any power in those relationships. But who ruled the roost in your house? Your mother or your father?
My mom did.
Okay, I bet you if you asked 90% of your viewers, they would say it was my mama. So it wasn't that she didn't have any power. It's just that it's different. She now has some power in the marketplace, and she has some power in the home place. And he's beginning to have more power in the home place, and he still has his power in the marketplace.
Absolutely.
And it's not equal, and it's not perfect. And there'll be some weeks where she waits on him, and hopefully there'll be some weeks when he waits on her. But most of the weeks, everybody will take care of themselves.
Wow. I love it. I love it.
And I'm going to tell you, I have to say also the story about the pizza and dinner.
Yes.
I'll bet you there is many women who don't have high career jobs who sneak the pizza in as ones with career jobs. So I'm not laying that on having a career.
Absolutely. Could you tell us a little bit about your book, Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman? Tell us what that book is about and what its purpose was.
Well, its original purpose really was to say that in the workplace, there are a lot of unwritten rules that are sort of boy rules. Because when the game of business got originated, it was primarily boys who were playing. Just like at home, there's a set of unwritten rules, and they were written by the girls. And a lot of you boys have trouble discovering what they are. People need to write you books about, you know, how to buy the right orange juice, how to get the right birthday present, all those kind of things. So what I wrote about was I noticed there were a lot of very, very smart women out in the workplace, but that they weren't getting ahead quite as quickly, and they weren't rising up to leadership. And it wasn't because they weren't smart. It wasn't because they weren't hardworking. It wasn't because they didn't understand all of their business very well. It was because sometimes they didn't know sort of what the boys' rules were and how to play the game.
Right.
How to keep being women, how to keep being girls, but to be strategic.
Right.
So I tried to look at some of the rules that I had seen over time and sort of make them more feminine and say to women, you know, it's okay. We can do this, but we have to do it our way. But make sure you know that there's a rule out here about this.
Wow. Wow. You know what? I love your energy so much. It feels so good. You know, would you mind us fielding some callers and you talking to them and sharing your stories with them as well?
I would be delighted.
Let's be delighted together. Tiffany from Sacramento, let's do this.
Hi, good evening.
What's happening, Tiffany?
Nothing. Well, I only can speak about my experience. It's just my husband and I, we haven't had kids yet, so I don't know if my feeling or experience is really valid because it seems like we're talking about women with families. But
no, go ahead.
Say it again?
I said, go ahead, Tiffany. Tell us about your story. It doesn't matter what we were talking about. This is your time to shine. Let's go.
I'm 28, and I have 3 degrees. My husband, he's about to turn 32, and he graduates with his undergrad degree in August. But I find out as I keep going and improving and achieving, he wants to do the same thing. So I guess that's an encouragement, or he doesn't sit still. And, of course, our relationship, we're pretty much independent. I mean, it's basically 50-50. But then again, like I said, I don't know until we have kids how this whole conversation will actually affect us. But in my eyes, it's pretty simple. So I do understand about how the women take care of the household because I come from a family where it's always the woman saying do and pay and give me or whatever, just overruling everybody. I personally don't like to do that. I would like the man in front, and I would like to be behind.
Okay.
So that's just me.
So you know, we have a wonderful author on right now. Her name is Gail Evans. Would you like to direct a question to Gail?
Absolutely.
Well, here's your chance.
Okay. Good evening, Gail.
Hi.
My question is, should I slow down and put more attention towards my husband as he's up the ladder? Because I'm basically almost there. Almost there.
Well,
and will it affect him eventually, knowing that I'm speeding and he's basically yelling a little bit?
Well, I think every relationship is different, and so it's difficult to know what the right thing to do is, but I think you need to be a full partner with your husband, completely encourage him in what he wants to do and where he wants to go, but you shouldn't stop yourself from being and doing what you want to be. Those are not incompatible.
Wow. Well, and that's a good
agree with you.
And that's a good point. And that brings up another issue. Do women have to put their stuff on the back burner in order to appease, you know, their husband? Maybe the type, like you said, Doc, or Gail, maybe he's the type of guy, you know, like you said, it was situational, but maybe he's the type of guy that might feel offended if she moves on and continues to rise, you know, whether it be educationally and then later on corporately. Maybe he's the guy that might feel a little way about that, a certain kind of way about it.
Well,
so
if he can't deal with that, he's probably not the right guy for her. It's like we all grow together when we're in relationships, and we grow differently, but we learn to respect each other's growth. And if somebody resents your growth and you're in a relationship with them, they're probably not the right person.
Wow.
But
So let me ask, though.
Why should she hold herself back?
Right.
Because he's uncomfortable. Why shouldn't he learn to be comfortable?
Wow. That is a great point. Tiffany, what do you think about that?
He doesn't have a problem. He's happy. He's excited. He finds it amazing due to personal reasons. I have multiple sclerosis.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is, there's no excuses. So as far as his family from Chicago, it's kind of conflicting with them as well, because I was raised totally different than him. Just to get straight to point, more poverty on his side than mine. So as I come to that picture, automatically I get looked at as sedity or think I'm all that and so
uppity.
forth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, exactly.
Sounds like he found a good partner and you found a good partner, and he loves and supports you, so I wouldn't worry about it.
That's great advice. Tiffany, I've got to go, but I really appreciate your call. Your questions were on point. You're the business. Stay with your dude, work it out, and continue moving up the ladder. Get smarter, get better, and hopefully he's the guy for you. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. What we're about to do right now is take another quick break. I'm going to come back with author Gail Evans. She's the author of Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman, and she has a new book called She Wins, You Win. And trust me, she's great. Stay with us. We'll be back at 2.2, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. I'll be back, 877-210-610.
I mean, I think commitment, a lot of people, I think part of this statistics is people don't want to commit anymore. And it's hard to make commitments because then you have to be loyal, you have to be honest, you have to have integrity. And frankly, a lot of people don't want to live to those standards
And the
anymore.
people that were interviewed, most of the people that were interviewed are younger people that are looking at, you know, the older generations and saying it didn't work out so well. So
and I think
we're not so sure.
Yeah, and the practical part of that is, like you said, you don't need it anymore. Women are making their own money, have their own careers and their own jobs, and so it changes the dynamic of what that marriage used to be about. The husband goes to work, makes the money, and the woman stays home.
Wow. The 1950s template of marriage is crumbling. You know, the traditional-minded man, stay at home, tend to the house and the kids. I'll win the money, I'll get the money, I'll be the breadwinner. All of that stuff is changing. The smarter, the more educated, and the more money women are making, it gives them power to recontextualize the social template and the expectations of the patriarchal man. That's what I think. That's what I think. But the miseducation of the modern woman is our topic tonight. How who she's becoming today will change the world forever. 877-210-610. I'm sitting here talking with a wonderful guest, Gail Evans. She is the author of Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman. And she has a new book out called She Wins, You Win. Go get her stuff. I'm sure it's Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. It's everywhere. I'm sure of it, right?
Right.
Absolutely. You're still here with me. We're going to introduce another guest, and I want you to stay with me, Gail, and let's keep it rolling. And we're going to take some more callers too. But before I move on to that, let me introduce my next guest. Her name is Marilyn Willison. Marilyn Willison is the author of The Self-Empowered Woman, 17 Characteristics of High Achievers, and also a journalist who has contributed to over 24 publications in the UK and the US. She has written 5 nonfiction books, and her byline has appeared in the Sunday Times of London, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, the Los Angeles Times, Allure, and Ladies' Home Journal. Currently, she lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, with her husband, Tony. Let's just welcome her right now to the millions of listeners who's listening to the Voice of Reason right now. Hey, Marilyn, let's talk.
So,
Hello. How are you?
I am alive and well. What's cracking with you?
Well, I'm enjoying your program.
I'm having a good time tonight myself. My thing to you is, do we have to grow men up? Do men have to relinquish some of the old archaic beliefs we have about women and start supporting them in a different way? Or should we remain stubborn and push you guys back into the kitchen barefoot? What should we be doing?
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to push women back into the kitchen to be barefoot and pregnant, but I think that everyone can be happier if men can admire the different things that women can accomplish and have accomplished in the past. I think there's something really appealing about a man who's not threatened by a woman's ability.
Well, do you believe, I mean, because, our great, why don't you say hi to Gail? Gail is here. Yeah. Let me not forget now, Gail is here. Gail Evans, she's the author of Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman. And you guys are both here because of your vast knowledge on the topic. So, I mean, for me personally, I'm seeing a lot of men that are resisting the change. Because, women make up, 47% of the U.S. workforce. Mm-hmm. And let's just be honest, women have always been intelligent. That's not something new for females. They've always been intelligent. And if you do some research, you'll find that women tend to do better academically than men.
Yeah.
So, and now if you couple that with the shift from labor jobs, like construction and those, I mean, they're going to be around, but now we're in a knowledge worker society. Isn't that the perfect storm for the rise of the woman?
Well, I think it's important, and I'm sure that Gail will agree with me on this. I think it's important to remember that the factor that really matters for women isn't how intelligent they are or not, but it's how they can use that intelligence. I mean, when you consider that women in America couldn't vote until 1921, which means we've been able to vote for less than a century, and the French women didn't get the right to vote until 1944. So there's kind of a global thing where women have really had to kind of shape things up in order to get what is their just right, I think.
They're comeuppance.
Well, you're comeuppance. I have to tell you, I don't think this has to be a battle.
I hope it's not.
I see lots of men who are very happy that their wives are bringing home good paychecks. That, it makes for more balance at home, it makes for more balance in the workplace, and the family can deal with it. There may be some people that are holding on to the old ways, but I teach at Georgia Tech. I see all these young students and these young MBAs and the rest, and the guys are clear. This is going to be a partnership if it's going to work.
Right.
And they actually don't want women who are going to be subservient. They want somebody they can play with and have fun with who's an equal partner. They want her to also be able to catch the football and go watch LeBron at the game tonight and all the rest. And they want her to be able, to be partners in their life, whether it's about what they do at work or whether it's about their play.
Right.
Right.
Well, part of a main part of the focus in my book, The Self-Empowered Woman, is not really about money and power. It's about achievement. And there's a lot of possibility in the world to do important things and things of value that may not bring a big paycheck. You may not earn more than your mother or your father or your sister or your husband or anybody else, but what you're doing has great meaning and importance to you. So it doesn't have to be a competition for dollar signs. It just has to be doing what you feel gives you a real sense of purpose and fulfillment.
Wow.
It could be volunteering. It could be helping women in Afghanistan learn how to use the computer. It could be working against child trafficking. It could be bringing out the vote for people who aren't registered. I mean, there's a million different ways to be effective. You might want to be a pianist. You might want to be an author. I mean, I'm not totally into equating success with a paycheck. I think.
Okay, so let's do it this way then, because I mean, I deal with a lot of guys. I do relationship roundtables all over the country, and what's really crazy is we see, well, and I know most of it is probably rumor anyway, but we'll see someone as powerful as, say, Oprah Winfrey, or Condoleezza Rice, or maybe even Halle Berry, and they have problems. I mean, major problems keeping a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even seen Condoleezza with a man.
Oh, wait a second.
What is...
Wait a second. You don't know that they have major problems keeping a guy?
I'm saying that is the perception. I said it was probably rumor. I didn't say I knew personally. I said most likely it's a rumor.
It's a rumor, and it actually is an incorrect rumor.
Well, let's talk about it. Was Condoleezza spotted with somebody?
Okay. Well,
I think that, you have people, researchers on your staff. If they go check it out, they will find out that there are wonderful men that have been in Condoleezza's life, just as we all know about Stedman and Oprah's life.
Stedman is on the outs. Come on, he's always been just arm's distance. Come on, let's.
Gail, in my book, I talk about the 17 characteristics of high achievers, because I wanted to kind of lay out a grid work for women to understand some of the traits that happen again and again and again in the life of high achievers. And according to my research, many, many women of high achievement have had bumpy love lives.
I know.
I opened my chapter with a quote from Coco Chanel. And Coco Chanel observed, in her words, she said, "It's much, much easier to find a man who will let you cry on his shoulder when you fail than it is to find one who will celebrate with you when you succeed."
Wow. That's what I want to talk about. We've got to retrain those guys, yeah?
Well, I just think that it, I find it very appealing. I mean, and there are plenty of men out there, and I think it's a very appealing thing when you have a man who takes pride and takes enjoyment out of what his wife or his girlfriend or life partner can achieve. It just shows that they are truly comfortable in their own skin, and they're not threatened by what a woman can accomplish or what a woman can earn or what a woman can do.
Right, and I have to say, Coco Chanel was an interesting person, but probably not your garden variety partner to begin with. I just will talk on anecdotally. I was at a party the other night for an organization called the Committee of 200, which is supposed to be the 200 most powerful businesswomen in the country. Wow. And the men that were there were thrilled and delighted that their spouses were as successful as they were. There were I'm sure there were the relationships that weren't good, and there were relationships that were wonderful, but it was no different than any other group of men and women.
But Gail, I liked what you said earlier when you told the woman who called in that if she happened to be with a man who didn't want her to grow, then she was probably with the wrong man.
Right. That was good advice. Let me ask you both this question.
But so I also throw this: if he doesn't want to be with a high-achieving woman or a successful woman, and if all he wants is his dinner cooked every night and his slippers and his smoking jacket out, then he needs to find that kind of woman.
Right, because they're there. Let me ask you both this question. Do you think sexist attitudes among men are on the rise? Are they stable, or are they decreasing?
I'll jump in. They're decreasing.
And tell us who you are, who just jumped in.
It's Gail, right.
I know Gail. Tell the world.
Right, tell the world. It's Gail Evans. and they're decreasing.
Okay.
Because it's not acceptable anymore. Even if it's underneath the skin, it's not acceptable anymore. And men understand, by and large, not everybody, that, men are smart, women are smart, men are achieving, women are achieving, and we're not going backwards. We're not going back to the days where we couldn't vote. And so everybody better get on board if they're going to be successful.
Right. Marilyn, what do you think?
I agree totally. I think You know, it's like if you open up a can and let something out, it's very hard to put it back in.
Absolutely. So let's do this.
And also, we have generations now, younger and younger generations, who've grown up in a world where the boys have grown up with successful mothers who've been as influential about their careers as their fathers have been. So those generations of boys, it's natural for them.
Right. That's true. That's true. Ladies, can we do this? Can we go get some callers? Would you like to talk to some callers?
Oh, I'd love some callers.
Well, let's get active. Ray from Tennessee, you're in the building. Let's talk.
Hey, good evening, y'all. How y'all doing?
We're good, man. What's happening?
Hey, I'd just like to say I have a successful woman, and that I'm very proud of her, but she followed me for 22 years of my life in the military. She followed my lead. So when it came time for me to retire, she was working a nice job. She said, well, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I want to work for myself.
Wow.
That hurt me because I was used to the two incomes, and I'm getting ready to retire, so, you know, that probably cut my income in half. So she started one business, became successful in that, and opened another business.
So you're more happy now. You're
you're on Easy Street.
Right.
Yeah, but in those businesses, during my retirement, I took a year off. I decided to help her out.
Oh, great.
And work with her. But that didn't go over too well.
Why didn't it go over too well? Please tell me. What happened?
She's too bossy.
Oh.
She was your boss now.
Yeah, I mean, we're great. I mean, this woman I met, like I said, 22 years ago, I met her in January, married her in February. And we have two sons, who one's in college now, and the one is 16 years old, honor student. I mean, they're great, and we sit down and we communicate with each other.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Did you quit or did she fire you?
I quit.
Thank you for the call, brother. I appreciate it. Ray from Tennessee, the volunteer state, he quit. Oh, that was a great call. Ladies, we're going to go to some more ladies on the phone. Keisha from New York. Talk to my people. They're here.
Hi, how are you, ladies?
Hi, Keisha.
I was just calling because, as I was saying earlier, I come from a very traditional family. My parents are coming up on 50 years of marriage, and my dad always taught me that every woman can make rice, but not every woman can make gravy, if you know what I mean. So it's one of those things where you always have to let your husband be the man of the house, just as you should always let me be the woman of the house. I'm the CEO of my home. I mean, that's basically the way it breaks down, and I don't step on his toes just as I don't expect for him to step on mine. And I think that's part of the problem with a lot of young women my age. They're not talking to their intendants. They are planning their weddings, but not their marriages.
Right.
Wow.
Good advice.
That's good advice. I like what she said. Keisha out of New York, that was some serious business. Prince from Texas. Hopefully it's the real Prince. No, let's go, Prince from Texas.
What's going on, man? Yeah,
what
man,
up,
I ain't the singer, baby. All I got to say about this here, man, you know, I was raised by my grandmama, man, you know what I'm saying? She had businesses, you know what I'm saying, how you know, real estate, investors, all that kind of stuff, and she still came home and cooked and fixed dinner for us, and she was doing all that there. But, you know, got Rachel Ray out here called 30-minute meals, and she was doing 20-minute meals back in the 80s, so it could be done. You can put it together. And I'm really like this here, man. I'm all about a woman progressing, you know, trying to set up her financial future, because I been in a few relationships in my life. I almost got married a couple of times. But they started digressing. That's when I moved around. It wasn't me holding them down. They do what they want to do, as long as it's positive, as long as it's real, as long as it's beneficial. I ain't one of these guys talking about she making more money than me. Last time I checked, if you marry a woman, it's Mr. and Mrs. It ain't Mrs. and Mr. It's Mr. and Mrs. That's just the way it goes in Ebony and Jet or anywhere you go in life. You know, that's just the way it is. It's our money, you know.
I got you, man. I got you. And I appreciate your call. Thank you so much for that insightful story about Granny. I appreciate it, man. That's the Voice of Reason here every Thursday. You can call anytime. Once again, tonight's topic, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever, is the topic tonight. Call me right now. I'm taking callers for the rest of the show. 877-210-6106 is the number to dial. Please talk to Marilyn. Please talk to Gail. They are wonderful people. They have insight beyond your wildest imagination. They'll be talking to you when I come back from break. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you in a second. Ladies and gentlemen, ZoWilliams, the Voice of Reason, is back in the building. And that was the oldest, most relevant song we've played tonight. It was from the Jurassic period of hip-hop. That was the Salt and Pepper Independent. They found that in the archive somewhere. Tonight's topic, the miseducation of the modern woman, how who she's becoming today will change the world forever. I've got great guests, right? Let me tell you who they are. Author Gail Evans, Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman. That's her book. Go get it. She has another book, She Wins, You Win. She's been everywhere, and now she's on the Voice of Reason, Foxxhole Radio, Sirius 106, XM 149, with none other than the Voice of Reason, ZoWilliams. Also, in the building with us, Marilyn Willison, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, the self-empowered woman, the 17 characteristics of high achievers. This is her book. Go, 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 and get it. They're contributing such a wonderful energy to our show tonight. We're having a great time, and we're trying to provide this information for you, the listener. Call me right now, 877-210-6106. And while your calls are coming in, we got callers here, but I just want a few more so we can push this on through. Let me ask my guest something really quickly, because we found something that was quite interesting. My team of crack researchers. The top 10 most powerful privileges enjoyed by women. And I'm going to rattle them off, and I want to get you guys' opinion about it.
Okay.
Let me go from the bottom. Number 10, exemption from suspicion. And it says females who interact with other people or other people's children are less likely than men to be perceived as pedophiles. The Seattle Times reports that when it comes to pedophilia, men are demonized, women are diagnosed. Women are often perceived as troubled or mentally ill rather than guilty of a crime. That's number 10, exemption from suspicion. Number 9, exemption from genuine vulnerability. Women have a much lower chance of being murdered than men because females are perceived as fairer or the weaker sex. It seems more unfair to kill them. Appearing defenseless as a woman is a natural deterrent to murderers who want to feel that they've killed an individual of equal or greater power. I don't know who. I don't know. Right. I don't know what crazy person. Right. I don't know what crazy person put this list together, but I'm going to get through it.
I think that they're more apt to look at a woman and think of their mother, and that's why they don't do it.
Wow.
I think that's sort of a crazy interpretation.
Wow, that was a great point. I love it. Exemption from harsher criminal penalties. Females are less likely to receive the death penalty and, in general, receive less punishment than males when they commit crimes. By blaming crimes on males, females have historically evaded the legal consequences of their actions.
But there are very fewer murderers who are female, so it would make sense that they're...
That's true. Women are less violent, period.
Right.
How about that?
Less violent. Imagine how many wars we'd have if we had all women presidents.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, it would be just one little talking party. Listen, we don't have to do this. Don't make me come over there. It would be that. Number 7, exemption from social pressures to defer their safety. In emergency situations, women, along with children, are evacuated prior to men. Let's get them first. Let's get them first. And that's okay. Why should we complain about that? Number 6, exemption. Oh, yeah, I got that one. Number 5, exemptions from the demands of the provider role. Although some women complain that they are required to work harder as parents, they have more influence on child development and especially on children's attitudes towards their fathers. In most situations, the mother spends significantly more time than the father with the children, and working mothers who also put food on the table and clean the house are perceived by children as the more powerful parental figures. What do you think?
I don't think that. I think it depends on the household. I think that there are households where the woman is perceived as the most powerful, and there are plenty of households where the man is perceived as the most powerful. I think that's a personality dynamic.
So somebody crazy put this list together, right?
Well, it's an interesting. I think it's a little outdated. I mean, it's interesting in terms of evacuations, considering that we now have so many women in the military and things like that. The evacuation rules will
and the National Guard and the National Guard and firemen and police. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's you know the when the fire comes, the women volunteers are there the same way the men are today.
Oh, I love it. I love the way you guys are handling this. Exemption from the risks of the protector role. Females enjoy the benefits of a safe and healthy society, but aren't expected to risk anything to defend it. I think we covered that with firemen, police, and the rest.
And
so
the
let's
military.
move. And military. Let's move forward. Exemption from responsibilities of parenthood.
Okay.
Women have the option to put the children up for adoption, absolving themselves of responsibility, while men are required to remain responsible through the child support system. If a woman releases a child for adoption, this is socially acceptable, and others are expected to take responsibility for the child. And additionally, in divorce situations, men must pay alimony, and women are given special treatment as single parents. What do you think of that?
There are plenty of women who pay child support and alimony.
I know.
That's just
although
crazy.
at a lower rate than men do. But you're right, they do pay.
Because their salaries are lower.
Right. But when a woman's salary
This is great.
Yeah. But I think that's just outdated. And the reality is a woman can't put a child up for adoption without the permission of the father.
That's true.
Good point.
So legally, both of them have to do it.
That's why I have you two excellent examples.
Well,
shining examples of female, the future of femininity. That's why you're here.
I wanted to bring up one point about my book, okay?
Oh, let's go.
Woman. Okay. The self-empowered woman is like a roadmap for women who want to become high achievers. It doesn't matter what area they want to excel in. That's up to them. But at the end of each of my chapters, I have 5 exercises for people to do. So if you wonder why Maya Angelou is successful, or why Tyra Banks has made millions, or why Halle Berry has earned an Academy Award, or it doesn't matter what field these people are in, the exercises that I provide for women will help them learn how to think the way women of high achievement are lucky enough to do automatically. I'm not aware of any other books on the market for women that actually do that. So that's kind of an important thing if women out there are curious about how to become successful.
Wow. Man, that's a great book. I'm telling everybody to go out and get your book. Tell them the name of it one more time.
It's called The Self-Empowered Woman.
17 Characteristics.
17 Characteristics of High Achievers.
Absolutely. And Gail, really quickly, tell us the 2 books that you have as well.
Well, Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman. And She Wins, You Win.
All right. Let's field these last few callers really quickly.
Right. And I have a tip for you before tonight's over.
Oh, give me the tip right now.
I discovered something terrific called Tiger Text.
Wow.
And it's an app that you can get that lets you, women love to gossip and talk back and forth. You text your friend, and you have this Tiger Text app on your phone, and it lets you say, destroy this message after 25 minutes, or after somebody reads it, and so your message doesn't live forever in cyberspace.
So Tiger Woods really needed that.
Right, Tiger really needed that. But everybody, it's the
Brett
coolest thing.
Favre,
It's called Tiger Text.
Wow, how ironic is that?
Right,
That
so
is
you
great.
want to get one for your phone and tell everybody about it. It's really cool.
I will.
You're a techie.
I will do. Let's go to these callers really quickly. Andre from North Carolina, let's talk.
Yeah, I just want to jump in right quick and say the one thing that it seems like to me everybody's missing is that men have always had the final roles since the beginning of time. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a sexist or anything, but women have had to step up because men have not been men. And the reason why men have not been men is because, you know, as they were growing up in their households and whatnot, a lot of times they didn't have fathers around or you know, father figures, somebody who was teaching them how to be a man. A woman can only do so much. But at the same time, women do a hell of a job, but it's just, you know, it's unfair to women that women have had to step up like they have. You understand? Because men have not owned up to their roles. And it's not all the man's fault. In some cases it is, but in most cases it's not. You know, society and government, it's a whole lot of issues that come to play, and the reasons why men have, you know, not owned up to their roles. But I heard somebody earlier tonight say something about, I think it was you, Zoe. You were saying something about being, you know, Oprah Winfrey and Halle Berry and all that. Now, if I was to marry, for example, Oprah Winfrey, obviously, this woman has been successful for years. For me to come in and think just because I'm a man, I'm going to, you know, take over and sort of run things would be idiotic.
It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. Right. It'd be suicide. Right. Good point. Good point. Thanks again for the call, man. I appreciate it. We got to go to Snakebite from Nashville. Snakebite. Let's holler.
How you doing?
What up, man?
I think I know you have your researches and some of it is cultural and get a lot of surveys done, but a lot of it is personality and your personal background.
Right.
I was raised by a single parent. My father lived in a different state, so when I just saw my mom working, I saw her taking care of the home. I saw my male role models assisting their wives and taking care of their homes. And then when I went to stay with my father, I saw him. He's the head of the household. And his girlfriend came over, and she sat down and didn't do nothing. He cooked and did everything. Wow. Years later, I get married. I assist my wife wherever I need to. I always did the laundry and cook when she did. Unfortunately, my ex-wife, she is now, we were very young, both blessed to be in the military. She had a stroke when she was 22. I had to wait on her hand and feet for 3 years. I was a live-in nurse.
Wow. Wow. Way to do it, brother. I appreciate the call. That's a perfect example of how you become a teammate in a marriage, man. Thank you for that call. I appreciate it. Kenneth from ATL, you're my last caller. Let's do it.
You know, the thing is now, you know, when we was married way back in the days, you know, like my grandfather had like 20 kids by the same woman.
Wow.
And he worked in the fields, the woman did their job, and it wasn't no thing about a woman feeling bad that she did this, the man feeling bad this day. The women these days now, half of them don't want to cook. They don't want to do nothing. I mean, when you're married, you won. And see, it's a thing like you can't change grown people. You can't say, I'm going to change you and I'm going to change you. But it gets to the point, somebody got to change. A lot of times the men end up changing. Because the woman, you tell her something, she feel like, you're not my dad, or you're not this. But you got to bend for it to work, like the guy said earlier. Then you get down to the point that now you get to the point they're keeping their name. They're not even going all the way into marriage. Taking their husband's last name. They keeping their name hyper to the husband's last name. To me, that's a cop-out.
Well, we have a traditionalist on the phone. Thank you, brother, for the call. I appreciate it. Wow. You see how he felt about that? He's a little peeved.
Right.
But it's okay. He gets to be that way.
That's what makes horse races.
Listen, we're at the very end of this show. Let me do this really quickly. First, let me go to Marilyn Willison. Marilyn, do you have a website? Do you have books? If you do, where can they get them?
Well, the books can be ordered from Amazon.com. I have a blog
MarilynWillison.blogspot.com. Every posting is about an interesting woman of achievement or something important to know about women all around the world. I do have a website, but Amazon will tell you everything you need to know about the self-empowered woman.
Got you. Thank you so much for being on The Voice of Reason. I truly appreciate your presence and your energy and your information. You made it a great night. Now let me go on to my next guest, and you know who you are. Gail, tell us where they can find you. Can we just show up to Georgia Tech and sit in on a class? Talk to me.
You can show up at Georgia Tech anytime you want. I'd be delighted to have you. And I do have a website. It's GailEvans.net. If anybody wants to contact me, and if you want to buy Play Like a Man, Win Like a Woman, you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Borders, your local neighborhood bookstore, online, you know, whatever you like, and I'm sure it's there.
Okay, thank you so much for being on The Voice of Reason. You were an excellent guest. I appreciate all you had to say, and I'm sure my fans do too. The listeners, everybody enjoys it. This is what this show is about. It's a resource to grow us all up. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Doug Branson, who was on earlier. He's an author, and he's a professor out of the University of Pitt. He was great as well. The Voice of Reason every Thursday here on Foxxhole Radio, Sirius 106 XM 149. I need you to email me. I need you to go to my website. ZoWilliams.com is off the chain. We've got conversations going on. We've got emails going out informing you of the next thing Zoe is about to do. Television, radio, publishing, it's all happening. Go to ZoWilliams.com. Coaching. If you're having relationship issues, you know it's holiday time, and people are having a lot of problems with that. That's what my next show is going to be about. But if you need a coaching session, go to my website, ZoWilliams.com, and I'll get with y'all next week. Peace.